So here's some help in filling out the 9.1a solving by graphing and factoring. So we're going to solve x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0 by graphing. Again, our goal is that we want to find the x-intercepts. So let's do this by graphing. So in order to graph, you have to use the axis of symmetry formula, which is x equals negative b over 2a. So remember the a value is 1, it's a number in front, and the b value is negative 6. So let's plug that in. We plug in negative 6 over 2 times 1. So this is positive 6 over 2, or 3. So that is our axis of symmetry at x equals 3. So our vertex is somewhere along that line. So in order to find the y value, you need to take 3 and plug it in. So we plug in 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 5. So this is 9 minus 18 plus 5. So 9 minus 18 is negative 9 plus 5, and negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4. So let's go ahead and graph this. So our vertex is at 3, negative 4, so 3, negative 4. So 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 4. Then what we could do is we could just use the pattern of 1, 3, 5 in order to get to the next points. So let's do that. We'll go right 1, up 1, right 1, up 3, right 1, up 5. Then we could do the same thing on the left side. Left 1, up 1, left 1, up 3, left 1, up 5. So here is our graph of the parabola. So let me go ahead and fill it in. Okay, then we need to find our x-intercepts. So our x-intercepts are where it crosses the x-axis. So here and here. So where are those x-intercepts? So we can label the points. So the first one here is at 1, 0. 1, 0. Then the one on this side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is at 5, 0. So for you notice that for x-intercepts, so y must equal 0. Okay. Now that we've solved the equation by graphing, let's solve it by using the zero product property. Basically, we're solving by factoring. So you have x squared minus 6x plus 5. So we want to see what multiplies to 5. So remember that's a times c that adds to negative 6, our b value. So the factors of 5 are 1 and 5. And so it can be negative 1 times negative 5, right? Negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5. Negative 1 plus negative 5 is negative 6. So these are our factors. So our factors are x minus 1 times x minus 5, and that equals 0. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the zero product property to solve for this equation. So x minus 1 equals 0, x minus 5 equals 0, and remember you just solve for x. And so notice that we get the same exact answer. So x equals 1, and then for the other side you add 5 to both sides, so therefore x equals 5. Okay, and so notice that they're the same exact answers that we got below here. It's just written in a different form. So we solved x squared minus 6x plus 5 by graphing, and then we solved by factoring. So how do you find the x-intercepts if you only have a quadratic equation? Well, you can solve by factoring, okay? Solve by factoring. So you want to figure out what makes it 0. All right, so let's try the ones below. So pause the video, go ahead and try these out on your own, and then if you need the help, then unpause video and see the work. So we want to see what multiplies to 24 that adds to 11. So there are lots of factors that multiply to 24. We have 6 times 4, we have 2 times 12, we have 8 times 3, we have 1 times 24. So we have to look at those. Which one adds to 11? And so we see that 8 times 3 adds to 11. So 8 times 3 is 24, and 8 plus 3 is 11. So this factors to x plus 8, x plus 3 equals 0, and then you use zero product property, x plus 8 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, and then subtract to solve. So x equals negative 8, x equals negative 3. Okay, for number 2, you actually have to set that equal to 0 before you solve. So in order to set it equal to 0, you need to subtract 14 from both sides. So this is x squared minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. So you must set it equal to 0 before you solve. So now we can use the zero product property. Factoring, so negative 14 that adds to negative 5. Well, that's negative 7 times positive 2. So that is x minus 7 times x plus 2 equals 0. Using zero product property, x equals 7 and x equals negative 2. For number 3, we need to factor this as well. And so we have, remember, when a is greater than 1 and we cannot take a GCF out, we're going to do a times c that adds to b. So what's a times c? It's 10. And then what adds to 7? So that is 2 and 5. So 2 times 5 is 10, 2 plus 5 is 7, and then we have to do the reverse box. So the top box is our a value, 2x squared. The bottom is 5. Then our factors go on the side, 2x and 5x, right? So this 2, let's just add an x to it and a 5, and you put an x with it. Then you factor. So what multiplies to make 2x squared? Well, that's 2x times x, so I know x and x go here. Now the 2 has to go into wherever I put it. So 2 has to go on top, right? 2 is also a factor of 2x is a factor of 2x squared and 2x. Then 2x times x is 2x squared. Then we look at x times what is 5x, so x times 5. And 2x times 1 is 2x, so 5 times 1 is 5 is correct. So our factors here are 2x plus 5 and x plus 1 equals 0. Then you do zero product property to solve. So this one you take 2x plus 5 equals 0, and then you do x plus 1 equals 0. We're using zero product property. Then you subtract 5 from both sides. So 2x equals negative 5 divided by 2, or x equals negative 5 halves. Then on the right side, you probably see it right away, but you can do the math. X equals negative 1. Okay, and that's done. So number 4, we have x squared minus 2x equals 0. And so we have to look at this. So it is already set to 0, and it looks a little differently than what we've done before in these last 3 problems. But we could think about GCF. So what can I divide out of both? Well, I can divide an x. Divide x by both. And so remember, when you take out that GCF, put it out to the front, and then you divide x squared over x. So you cancel out one x, you're left with an x, minus, and the x's cancel, 2. And then remember, you can double check that this is true by multiplying it back. X times x is x squared, right? X times x is x squared. And then also, x times negative 2 is negative 2x. So I know that I factored it correctly. Now we use zero product property to solve. And so we say x equals 0, and then x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals 0 is done. And then for the right side, we add 2 to both sides. So x equals 2. So I hope that helps out. So go ahead and try the rest on the right side. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And if you need to see another video, I'll make another video going over all of the rest of the problems on the right if you need it. But from here on out, finish this out, and then make sure you turn in the sheet before the end of the period.